episode 6, I believe, coming at you here. And it's crazy. It's been 6 episodes so far, and we have a very special edition coming up for you guys. By the time this gets released, we will have already released an episode with Seattle Seahawks star receiver Tyler Lockett. First of all, Chris, thank you for getting him on the show in the first place, because I don't have that kind of pull in the locker room. But take me through how you got Tyler on the show.
Well, he's a good friend of mine. He came in the year, it was my second year in with the Seahawks, and we kind of just hit it off from the gate, and we was able to hang out together, show him around Seattle. So he was always been a good friend of mine. So here we go.
Definitely. It's wicked cool to see now, because we got Randall Cobb on a couple weeks ago. We have Tyler Lockett now. We have Jermaine Kirks coming on soon. We already announced that last episode. And even guys like Frank Clark down the line we have coming up. And a couple surprise casts missed in there. I'm not going to reveal that right now, because we like to get you anticipated a little bit, guys. We want it to be anticipated
leave a little mystery.
Exactly. But getting into the games here, we actually had another round of postponements. Unfortunately, my Patriots were slated to play on Sunday, or actually Monday, and it had to be moved because of another positive test within the locker room. We're now playing on next Sunday, which I guess isn't the worst thing in the world, because now we have Cam Newton playing and probably Stephon Gilmore playing against a destroyed Broncos defense and offense because of injuries. So that's good to start. But let's go over week 5 a little bit first. So starting off on Thursday Night Football here was Chicago and Tampa Bay, the battle of Nick Foles and Tom Brady, the first rematch of the two quarterbacks since Super Bowl 52, in which the Eagles. It was a good game. But Chris, I gotta curse or something here, because I haven't picked a single Thursday Night Football game right yet. Not a single one. I don't know what. Our record overall is really, really good. I think we're picking at 85% or something like that. A really, really good grade. But for some reason, they just want to screw with me on Thursday Night Football. And it's funny, because Tom Brady could have won the football game here if he knew it was 4th down and not 3rd down. But we'll get into that a little bit later. The final score here was 20-19. Tampa Bay moves to 3-2, and Chicago, who I still think's a fraud, moves to 4-1. And the game overall was not very impressive on either side offensively. Tom Brady was 25 of 41 for just 253 yards and a score. All a 5-touchdown performance the game before to 5 different receivers. I was expecting a lot more from Brady, especially against the Chicago defense, which has been a letdown majority of the time during this season. So what did you see from Tom Brady, and what concerns you about the Buccaneers' attack on Thursday night?
Well, I think that they're just not hitting on all cylinders right now. There's no real deep threat besides Mike Evans, and once you put two or three players on them, then it's pretty much neutralized. So they have to find a way to be able to incorporate the run and the pass at the same time, but also get the ball down the field a little bit more.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. The running game was there. I mean, Ronald Jones ran for $106 right there, 106 yards on the ground here. They had production in the backfield. It's just about getting the ball downfield and stretching the field. They just couldn't do it on Thursday night. So that was probably the reason why they lost ultimately. But even Nick Foles pretty much had an identical stat line to Brady. He was 30 of 42 for 243 yards and a touchdown. This was a battle of defenses and a battle of the running game. And it just so happens that Chicago came out on top during this game, but not really a really exciting game to start Thursday night off, but still a very effective game when it comes to seeding, especially with the Saints winning just last night here. But getting on here, the Rams and the Washington football team ended 30-10. Not really a surprising score. I mean, Washington's in the gutter. We knew that in the first place. Dwayne Haskins has just been recently benched, and there's rumors floating around now that he will be traded by the trade deadline. Chris, I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here on this, but what kind of teams would you think be interested in the former Ohio State quarterback?
Well, I think there will be a lot of teams that will be interested in him, because you still got to understand that this guy went out there and played at the highest level. Even though he threw a lot of picks, he also threw a lot of touchdowns last year. So there's going to be teams out there that still wants to find a manageable person to be able to manage the game for them a little bit more until the season is over with and they can go in for that running for Travis.
Yeah, but give me a team. Just give me one team that you can see Dwayne Haskins going to at the deadline.
That's a good one. Let me think. I mean, why not the Jets? The Jets need somebody. You have Joe Flacco out there who's who's a veteran in the game, but still is not all the way clicking with the team right now. And I don't know if that's because of chemistry or the lack of not being able to practice with each other, especially with him due to his injuries. but I could definitely see the Jets picking him up.
My pick for the Dwayne Haskins sweepstakes here. How about the Indianapolis Colts? Phillip Rivers, Old Man Rivers here, has been very, very disappointing coming in his first season in Indianapolis. They do have Jacoby Brissett waiting in the wings a little bit, but there's a reason why they replaced him in the first place. There's not a lot of faith there considering him as a franchise quarterback. Now, given Dwayne Haskins' past record, you could say the same thing about him. But is it worth the flyer in Frank Reich's case? I think it is, because at the end of the day, it's not going to cost you a first-round pick. It won't even cost you a second-round pick. It will most likely cost you somewhere between the third and sixth-round draft pick. Why not just take a shot, and why not just go for it? I would take the shot if I was a QB-needed team, but that's just besides the point. Yeah,
I hear you.
Definitely.
But
so
that wouldn't be a great. I don't feel like that would be a great one, especially when you just talking about Jacoby Brissett, who is somebody who can potentially become a very reliable quarterback for them in the future.
Yeah, it's going to be up and down, and there's been a lot of interested parties apparently, according to rumors and everything. So I wonder what teams are inquiring about him. Maybe it's the Patriots. I doubt it, but maybe. You never really know here. But the next game on the schedule here was the Eagles and Steelers. The Steagles. The Steelers won 38-29 final score here. Not surprising in the slightest for me. I picked the Steelers, far and away. I thought they were going to dominate them, but in certain stretches in this game, they were back and forth here. But the star of the game, Chase Claypool, who they're calling Mapletron now, I think he's from Canada, he had 7 receptions for 110 yards and 3 scores, and also added a score on the ground. 4 total touchdowns for the rookie wide receiver. The Pittsburgh Steelers must have the best scouting department in terms of receivers. I mean, they draft everyone. Antoine Randall, Hines Ward, Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. The list goes on and on and on. Like, they just keep getting so lucky. The Patriots can't, buy a receiver in the first round, and never mind the third, fourth, and fifth, even sixth round with Antonio Brown. But credit to them. But what a great game for the rookie receiver in Chase Claypool.
Absolutely, man. He showed me a glimpse of some Randy Moss, because that's numbers only Randy Moss was able to put up. Of course, he came out with 5 touchdowns instead of 4, but still, that's really close. That's really close. And I know that's a lot of room to fill in those shoes, but he keeps on picking it up. And after this week, I'm more than sure that they're going to start finding the ways to incorporate him to get him in the game, because he's just a big guy who's fast, strong. He can catch the ball. He's good with it with it in his hand. So I can see him having a promising season.
Sounds like someone I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I think you would know, Chris. I think you would know. But anyway, on the other side of the football here, Philadelphia actually kept it close to their credit. My guy, Miles Sanders, 11 carries, 80 yards, and 2 scores on the ground. But the star for Philadelphia, and the surprising star for a lot of people, Travis Fulgham, 10 receptions for 152 yards and a score here on 13 targets. Probably just a fluke game, but what a game for the lesser-known receiver in Philadelphia. But again, we saw Carson Wentz struggle. We saw the NFC East struggle mightily. We saw Dak Prescott go down, and we'll talk about that later down the line. But this might be the worst division in NFL history if we're going to look back at it here. So up and down, always a new winner. It's never been really dominated by anyone since really the 90s, since the Cowboys won their trilogy in the 90s there. So, I mean, it's a very interesting case study. We saw it a couple years ago in the NFC South where the Carolina Panthers actually went to the playoffs at 7-8-1. Will we see a similar situation? Maybe, because with Dak
than likely.
Exactly. With Dak Prescott going down, with the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton taking over now, there's no clear-cut better team in that division. So keep your eye on the NFC East as probably the worst division in football going forward here. The next game on the docket was the Cardinals and the Jets. 30-10 was the final score. Arizona gets a much-needed bounce-back game at Gang Green. Sam Darnold looked atrocious as always. But guess what? Joe Flacco actually played in the game. 18 of 33. Your guy, Joe Flacco, 195 yards and a score here. Not enough to take on Arizona, but not a bad game from the former Super Bowl champion. But Kyler Murray, while I think he had a decent day, is still not on track to get back to that MVP form. He was 27 of 37 for, granted, 380 yards, but only a touchdown and an interception. That touchdown, by the way, DeAndre Hopkins bailed him the hell out on. A one-handed catch, left-handed catch in double coverage against a cover 2 that was a really aggressive cover 2, press coverage and everything.
Absolutely.
DeAndre Hopkins, as I've said multiple times before on this show, is making his case for Offensive Player of the Year. He has my full support, and is really showing how dominant he is and how much Houston is missing him going forward in this NFL season.
Absolutely, man. DeAndre Hopkins, he said it before on Hard Knocks, and I'm going to say it again for him. He is a grown man out there. He is doing things that only grown men can do. And when he made that catch between those two players and still taking a hit and holding on to the ball, I can only commend him. That was a great catch and great focus and be able to stay in it, because not too many people can take that hit and hold on to that ball.
And not to mention the coverage, like I mentioned, it was a cover two, but it was a modified cover two. They were covering him specifically. They pressed him at the line. He broke away from the line. Safety came over the top at just the right moment, and he still managed to pull out that catch, which is so impressive. Just shows the magnitude of what he can do on the field. He has the speed, the athleticism, the catch radius, everything you need in a number one receiver. So Arizona are very lucked out with him in the offseason here. But other than that, there wasn't really anyone who stood out during this game. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins had 131 yards in a score here, but no one else really overly surprised me in this game. It was going to be a rut from the get-go. We knew the Cardinals were going to destroy the Jets, so it's not really, what's the word here? Not really a point to keep discussing this game at this point. I mean, It's over. 30-10 was the final score. Let's move on here. One of the craziest games in the NFL this week was the Raiders and the Chiefs. Final score, Derek Carr gets his first W over Patrick Mahomes in the span of everything, 40-32. This is the first margin of error that Patrick Mahomes has lost by less than 7 points or more than 7 points. That's a ridiculous stat, but a stat to be admired as well. But Derek Carr in the day, 22 of 31, 347 yards and 3 scores. Just out-dueled Patrick Mahomes. You don't really see that happening too much.
No, you don't. You don't. But the thing is that when your defense is not handling business on that day, it's going to make it hard for you, no matter who you are as a offensive player. If your defense is not holding up, it's going to be hard for you to go out there and compete at the same level as the other quarterback.
Definitely. I think the Chiefs coaching staff is relying on Patrick Mahomes now to just sling it downfield and hope it works. This defense needs to step up immediately and right now. And it's not like it's going to save the season type of scenario right now. They're obviously still one of the best teams in the NFL. But they need to shape up quick or else they might find themselves in a rut in a highly competitive division in the AFC West here.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, definitely. And the star of the day here for the Raiders, Henry Ruggs, who they were desperately missing over the past couple weeks. Only had 2 receptions, but for 118 yards in a score, this guy just stretches the field, destroys every defensive coverage possible because as soon as he goes downfield, the middle and underneath are wide open for guys like Nelson Aguilar, Darren Waller, and Hunter Renfrow. This offense it has the potential to be scary if and only if John Gruden smartens up and runs Josh Jacobs when he needs to run him. He'll have 23 carries in the day for 77 yards and a couple scores, which you need to do against the Chiefs to control the clock. While it was a shootout and they didn't really have possession of the ball for as long as the Chiefs did, it still proves to you that when you run the football and play effective enough defense, you win the game. That's just how it works in the NFL here. Patrick Mahomes in the day was not quite as Mahomes as we're normally used to seeing here. He was 22 of 43 for 340 yards, which we're used to seeing, but only a couple scores and a pick here. The run game didn't really help him out at all. Clyde Edwards-Helaire led the day with only 40 yards on the ground here for the Chiefs. And receiving, obviously, Travis Kelce was the star of the day as well, 8 receptions for 108 yards and his score. This is more of a fluke game than anything for me. I'm not worried about the Chiefs in the slightest. I don't think it's worth worrying about the Chiefs because they are obviously a top contender in the NFL when it's all said and done here. Patrick Mahomes is still that dude, still a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. And whether or not he's playing like it, he will 100%, I can guarantee you this, play like that down the stretch when it actually matters when it comes to these deeper weeks into the season.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And you can tell that the engine was already running from just off the first few plays of the game where he throws the ball down the field with Tyreek Hill speeding past everybody, and he catches it over 2 players and scores a touchdown. But then you end up turning around, you have a mishap on the line where it was a holding call, and it took him back, and that's where I felt like it started hampering the offense a little bit just off of that play. Because when you have big plays like that and you see success going and then it doesn't transpire because somebody held or didn't do their job at one specific time, it could definitely hurt you.
Definitely. I think the name of the game here was penalties, because they had two separate scores overturned. That would have been the football game. They would have been up two
Absolutely.
scores, if not more. And so when you look at it that way, I mean, and it's weird because Andy Reid's typically a very, very traditional head coach in terms of don't turn over the football, make sure you're
Absolutely.
disciplined in your play, make sure you don't commit a lot of
I'm pretty sure
penalties.
every coach is like that.
Oh, yeah, ask Adam Gase. Ask Bruce Arians. Ask a lot of these guys because they're not disciplined as much as you would believe. So say what you want about that. But going on to the next game here, the Texans and the Jaguars are Houston Texans. We are huge Deshaun Watson supporters here. They finally get their first W in the NFL season, 30-14 over the Gardner Minshew-led Jacksonville Jaguars. The curse of Bill O'Brien's over, folks. They finally get the W with Romeo Crennel at the helm, and what a win it was for the Houston Texans. Take me through your impressions of Deshaun Watson's first win on the season.
I thought it was great. To be honest with you, I am a fan of Deshaun Watson and the Texans, but I just didn't think with the turnaround of the firing and then implementing maybe not a whole new playbook, but some new plays that would take time to resonate with the players and stuff like that. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, so I didn't have them win this past week, but they proved me wrong, and they got things done, man. And they were making Deshaun Watson was throwing the darts out there.
And not to mention your guy, David Johnson, 17 carries, 96 yards, no scores, but
Absolutely.
a great 5.6 yards per carry. He kept
Absolutely.
the offense moving. He was the engine that kept the wheel turning here. And that's the reason why they won the football game, I believe, wholeheartedly.
That's the reason why they brought him. That's the reason why they brought him.
Exactly. And this is really the first time he's shown up in this level to actually affect the game to the point where they actually win a football game. So good for David Johnson. I'm happy for him. Also, just shout out one of our friends here, Randall Cobb, actually has 6 receptions for 47 yards as well.
Mm-hmm.
Always got to shout out our guys, Chris. Always got to support the brand here. Stafford and Matthews family is family. Actually, my new goal, I wanted to talk to you about this. My new goal is to get a full fantasy team worth of players we interview. That's my goal right now. So far, we got Randall Cobb. We got Tyler Lockett coming on. We actually already had him on, but that's beside the point here. We're going to have a couple guys coming in the near future here, but a full fantasy team would be pretty cool. That'd be a pretty cool thing to have a brand.
That would be nice. You just randomly pick them and just, okay, hey, guys,
boom,
we need you. Boom. We need you guys.
I'll do a DraftKings lineup with that one. Anyway, here, the Ravens and the Bengals was an ugly game for my guy Joe Burrow. Speaking of which, Joe Cool. But anyway, 27-3 was the final score. Lamar Jackson dominated. He is now 8-1 in his career record against all AFC North opponents. Talk about dominance in that tough division here. But looking at the stats, the numbers, Lamar Jackson, 19 for 37, 180 yards and a couple scores in a pick. Still not showing me he's an elite passer, and that worries me, especially down the road when he needs to pass in the playoffs here. But nevertheless, he didn't really need to pass the ball in this game because it was just a rut from the get-go. The defense was not prepared to handle their run game, and it showed from the very first play. What are your thoughts on Joe Burrow and the Bengals and how they handled this loss, 27-3 with the final score?
Well, it didn't look good at all for Joe Cool over there. He was 19 for 30, that's hard, and I understand that you're going against the Ravens defense, which is arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL as of right now, but you got to find a way. Joe Mixon with 24 carries and 39 yards, 6 receptions and 35 yards. That's not a bad day for him, but that just tells me a lot that the quarterback is doing a lot of dump offs and not headed down the field, and I understand that the receivers, some of them weren't making the catches and things like that, but you still gotta be a professional and be able to make those plays in those crunch time games.
And speaking of Bengals receivers, how about AJ Green actually asking his teammate to trade him during the football game here? There was footage released of him talking to his teammate, japping at him, just asking to be traded after a Joe Burrow interception here. That's very detrimental to team priorities in the first place, especially as AJ Green's a leader in this locker room, a leader in the receiving room. What does it say to guys like T. Higgins, who's just a first-year player, who's actually having success in this offense? What does it say to him about how AJ Green supports the team and how he supports the franchise? It does not look good no matter how you look at it, no matter how you slice and dice it. It's a bad look for the Bengals organization in the first place. But as we all know, they are not the highest functioning organization in football. That's how I'm going to leave it.
Not at all. But my only thing is that they drafted AJ Green because of the nuisance that Ocho Cinco was to the team, or they felt that he was to the team, and that doesn't make sense for him to come out and be blurting out things like that on the field. That's something that needs to be done behind closed doors where the fans or us can't see. We have to figure it out. You can't just do that out there. I know you're showing frustration and things like that, but come on now. You're a professional. You know what you need to do.
And it's surprising, especially from a veteran. A veteran of almost 10 years in the NFL. That's very surprising and disappointing, honestly.
With the same team.
AJ Green.
It's
With
not
the
like
same
he's
team.
been hopping around.
Exactly. So I'm very disappointed in AJ Green as a big fan of the player and really a perennial Pro Bowler. People understand the effect he had on this offense for so many years. So keep that in mind. He might be on the trade block soon enough. I wouldn't be surprised to see him moved at the trade deadline to a contender. I guess we'll have to wait and find out here. But going to the next game here, the Carolina Panthers in the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons blow it again. 23-16 is the final score. Teddy Bridgewater led the Panthers on the day. 27 of 37 for 313 yards and a couple scores. But the story of the day was Matt Ryan, former MVP Matt Ryan, 27 of 37 for 236 yards, no scores, and a pick. We've been saying it for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks now. Dan Quinn got fired a couple of days ago. We said that earlier in the podcast. I said this would be Matt Ryan's final season as Atlanta Falcon. It looks to be shaping up just in that way. Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, recently came out and said that he was not committed to any player. That includes Julio Jones, that includes Matt Ryan, that includes anyone on that team. Further than this year, he's going to let the next coaching regime kind of establish what they want to do with him. But to me, that just signals to me they're done with Matt Ryan. They're going to take a quarterback early in this draft. Maybe hometown kid Justin Fields out of where does he play? Georgia, wherever the hell he plays. Ohio State, because he transferred from Georgia.
No.
He was in Georgia freshman year. He transferred to Ohio State.
You're right.
Sorry, I haven't done my scouting yet, Chris. Give me a break. But anyway, here, they could draft Justin Fields, especially if they have a high draft pick, which I think they will, considering they're 0-5 down the 25% mark of the season here. But I will say, Todd Gurley, your boy Todd Gurley, 14 carries, 120 yards and a touchdown. For the first time all season, Todd Gurley looks like Todd Gurley of old. First time since, I think, the 2018 divisional round, he had over 100 yards rushing. So what does this mean for the team moving forward that Todd Gurley is actually on track to become a normal rusher again?
Well, we're gonna have to see a little bit more from him to make that that wild guess for us right now. But as of right now, this past game, he did a great job. My bright spot for me was Mike Davis on Carolina. He had a great game. He had 16 attempts for 89 yards, 9 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. With 10 targets. Like, that's a really good game for him. And I know that, Teddy Bridgewater, that's one of his security blankets right there is Mike Davis. And he's doing a great job with the balls that he is getting.
And you bring up Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves himself, is powering this offense, surprisingly, in fact, because Christian McCaffrey has been out for 3 straight weeks now, and they're 3-0 without the superstar running back. That's surprising to say the least. I thought they're going to run. I really thought, I'm going to be honest here, I thought they would really go 0-3 in his absence. And to the shock of many, including myself, they've powered through, given an easy schedule, but they've powered through. 23-16 is just their latest score in a defensive battle that's taken place the past couple of games here. Teddy Bridgewater does what he always does, manages the game. He does it to perfection with a very good running game behind him. So shout out to Teddy Two Gloves. He is doing as best as can be expected without his top running back at his disposal. But
absolutely,
Chris,
but I feel like if he keeps this up and then McCaffrey gets back, I can see them having a real good run at the playoffs.
Yeah, not to mention it, there's an expanded playoff format now. There's an extra team going in there. So who knows what can happen with this new stretch here. For the first time in really NFL history, we'll be seeing this expanded format going forward. So I guess we'll have to wait and find out here. Chris, absolutely. I was waiting all week for this one. I was waiting all week because you smiled and laughed at me when the Patriots lost to the Chiefs, even though we didn't have our starting quarterback, Cam Newton. But this might be worse, Chris, because the San Francisco 49ers lost 43-17 with their starting quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo actually playing the game and then getting benched at halftime. I'm waiting for the excuses. Bring on the excuse. I'm waiting for a single one because you don't have any. because this was a horrible game top to bottom, coaching, defensively, special teams-wise, and offensively. It was an ugly game for the Bay Area squad here. The Miami Dolphins embarrassed the San Francisco 49ers on national television. Ryan Fitzpatrick was the reason why. Mr. September was 22 of 28 for 350 yards, 3 scores, no turnovers. Chris, give me your impression of the game. I cannot wait to hear this. Take a deep breath. It's okay.
You know, it's just hard hearing all of this come out of your mouth, man. I don't know what to say. We didn't play good. And let's not get on our starting quarterback, Jimmy G. We obviously seen that he wasn't looking 100% out there, so we have to take that into account. For me, I take that as that's a real sign of a man who is really trying to go out for his team and give it his all. He tried, and it didn't work for him, and he got benched in the second half. But I commend him for that. But overall, man, yeah, we just didn't have a good game. Nobody was hitting on all cylinders, not the offense, the defense, or even the special teams. Well, actually, you know what? I'll take that back because Raheem Mostert actually was doing a good job, and that was coming off of an MCL injury. So just let people, let us get a little bit healed up. I'm telling you, at the second half of the season is when we're going to have our players coming back and we're going to start hitting. I'm telling you, Joe. Don't let this fool you of these 2 games that we done lost. Don't let it fool you.
I'm not letting it fool me, Chris. I'm just enjoying the moment because of how much you roasted my ass and the Patriots' ass after that loss without really any chance in the first place. You started Brian freaking Hoyer, but you started quarterbacks. I'm having a field day with this. I was going to text you. I'm going to quote you right now. I was going to text you. I'll let it simmer a little bit until the show started. But speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, 7 of 17. For 77 yards and 2 interceptions. Just a horrible day for the former Patriot quarterback, who I think we're better on the Patriots now. That's beside the point here. Looking at Miami here, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I already noticed, was a monster on the day. Fitzmagic, I already said the stats, 3 scores on 350 yards on the day here. Receiving, though, Preston Williams, 4 receptions, 106 yards, and a score. He looked dangerous, as well as our guy Mike Gesicki, who we've been at bat for these past few weeks here, as one of the top red zone targets for tight ends in the NFL. He finished the day with 5 receptions for 91 yards. He's a dangerous playmaker in the open field. He runs a 4.5 40 at 6'6". That's a dangerous combination for any number of players here, and he has the balls to back it up. I like him a lot. I think he's a very bright future in the NFL with a different quarterback. Hopefully Tua Tagovailoa is that solution. But just a very, very good day if you're a Miami Dolphins fan. I'm going to leave it at that. I didn't really make fun of you as much as you made fun of me because I'm a nicer guy than you are, Chris. So I want to take a little bit off you here. I'll let it slide a little bit here. Going to the next game here. The Giants and the Cowboys. A wild event, finishing 37-34. Cowboys take it out. But first of all, prayers and condolences to Dak Prescott for absolutely ruining his ankle. If you guys saw the injury here, it was graphic. It was very upsetting to watch here. And as soon as Dak, broke it, he tried to reset it. He knew it was over the minute it happened. Just seeing that video was just horrific. So all of our thoughts and prayers are with Dak Prescott and his family at this time right now. And even getting carted off the field, it was heartbreaking to see this guy. He was crying. He was very emotional because he knew at the end of the day this was his season and it was over. And now it really hangs in the balance for his contract to Jerry Jones. Whether or not Jerry Jones will give him that contract now after an injury is probably not a likely scenario. Coming off a very, very significant injury like an ankle is not the best case, situation for a max essentially contract for a quarterback, especially in a contract year. So we're gonna have to wait and see on that. I wouldn't be surprised to give him the franchise tag a second year in a row to make him prove himself yet again, but hopefully a minor setback for a major comeback for Dak Prescott.
Joe, I've been having a problem with Dallas and how they've been treating Dak Prescott this whole time. You're talking about somebody who has showed up 5 years in a row and has put the team on his back and has done everything in his power and of what they ask him to do to put them in a position to win. Now, was it always his fault on why the team lost? No, it was not. But you're talking about you're talking about Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, even my guy, Jimmy G. These are guys who haven't shown anything. They haven't shown anything in the NFL, and they got contracts of what any quarterback would have wanted, honestly. And you're talking about these guys are getting these contracts and they're barely showing what they can do. And this guy is out here to prove it to you 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row. And you're talking about Dallas, Texas, we're big, everything, and you're not treating your biggest star the way he needs to be treated. I'm not going to say it's about anything else, but I know that if it was somebody else that was not of Dak Prescott's color, he probably would have got that max. He probably would have got the contract that he would have wanted before this had even happened. Now this guy has to go on, even though he got franchise tag and he has to come back and he might be able to prove it again, which I pray that he does for sure. But that's just what I'm talking about. It's like those are the problems that I have with certain owners out here when you're just treating treating specific players a certain type of way when there's other places where they prove that doesn't matter or what you're looking for. And it really sickens me because this guy has went through it all, especially this off season with the passing of one of his brothers, dealing with depression. And now you have this going on. I know I can only pray for the Prescott family, man, and wish for better times for them all.
I had a feeling this conversation was going to come up, especially when it came to race here, because I think it's a very national storyline, especially with Stephen A. Smith going to bat for Dak Prescott and going against Jerry Jones. Chris, and this is a loaded question, so I don't expect a clear answer from you, but do you think in that regard Jerry Jones is acting in racial overtones by not paying Dak Prescott?
No, I don't. But what I do feel like it is something that is happening unconsciously. That's something that people fail to realize. That they think because they don't say certain things, or they have friends over here of this color and all of this, and you live in this great life and you're aware and stuff like that. But still, you have to understand that things like this happens unconsciously, and you don't even understand it until it's brought into your face. And so that's what I think happened with Jerry Jones, and it's just unfortunate.
Definitely an unfortunate situation, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you slice and dice it. We're praying for Dak Prescott's recovery, Absolutely. And hopefully a great comeback is in store, similar to the one that Cam Newton's enjoying this season. So thoughts and prayers to Dak Prescott and his family at this point. But getting back to the game here, in his stay, Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle himself, actually looked very, very efficient. He was 9 of 11 for 111 yards here. He actually won the football game. He had a couple of great connections to Michael Gallup downfield and set up the team to win. But the engine that drove the truck here was Ezekiel Elliott. 19 carries, 91 yards, and a couple scores. Zeke is starting to hit his stride when it comes to the season here. He's starting to pick up steam. He's starting to become that running back we all know and love and recognize as a top 3 running back talent in the NFL here. So I'm excited to see Zeke finally stepping up and becoming the running back we knew he was last season and transitioning it to this season. But the star of the day, I think, outside of Zeke, was my guy, rookie CeeDee Lamb. 8 receptions for 124 yards, no scores on 11 targets here. He's a big reason why they won this game as well. He had a great second half and a great first half even as well. He's coming into his own. And like we said last podcast, Chris, no team in the NFL as of right now has 3 corners good enough to cover all 3 of those guys. They can't cover CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper all at the same time. They can't do it. They literally cannot do it. It's not possible. Safeties aren't fast enough to keep up with them, so don't even think about putting a safety on any of them. You have to have 3 borderline elite cornerbacks to deal with these guys, and no team in the NFL has that right now. So they're going to be a scary team if they make the playoffs. That's the weird part about this, because Dallas is
which they probably might, though.
I agree with you here, but with Dak Prescott going down, it's less of a certainty now. If Dak Prescott's healthy, I agree with you 100%. Dak Prescott is healthy. They're a playoff team, no doubt in my mind. But with Andy Dalton at the helm, I'm not so sure, especially in such a tumultuous division here with the Redskins, Eagles, and Cowboys, or not the Redskins, Eagles, and Giants here. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sold on whether or not the Cowboys make the playoffs here. I hope they do, because I think their roster deserves a playoff spot. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. But just a terrible game, honestly, for the NFL community with Dak Prescott going down. But on the happier games here, the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts, 32-23 is the final score. The Cleveland Browns come away with the W here. And I have to say, Phillip Rivers is probably the most disappointing quarterback signing this offseason. He is. No, he is. And that's a dead serious take. That's a dead serious take because he comes in supposed to be this veteran presence, supposed to be this calming presence in this offense that's dealt with a lot of different injuries, a lot of different, dramatic events even. Say like Andrew Luck retiring just a couple of years ago, right? That's a very, very traumatic event in terms of an organization and franchise. You have a franchise quarterback who's only, I think, who was 29, 28, something like that, retires at a very early age when you think you're going to have him for at least another 8 years or so. That's a huge change and a shift in an organization that's expecting excellence from the quarterback position. Jacoby Brissett comes in and doesn't play up to the standards of Frank Reich. So he goes out and gets Phillip Rivers. So far, he's shown me absolutely nothing. Jonathan Taylor is the reason why they're even in any football game right now. And we said it. We said it beforehand here. Jonathan Taylor was the best running back in this draft class, and he's showing it finally. Given it's under bad circumstances because his pass game sucks. Mm-hmm. Phillip Rivers is 21 of 33 for 243 yards and 2 picks against the Cleveland Browns defense that has pieces but is nowhere near complete. That concerns me. This might be the end of the road for Phillip Rivers. And it's sad to say because I have been a Phillip Rivers fan historically. I loved his days in the Chargers, especially that 2006 team with LT and that slew of receivers he had with Antonio Gates as well. But I think this is the end of the road for Phillip Rivers here. Sad to say, but I think it's time for him to hang up the cleats here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just it's just time. We all know as athletes whether we're Hall of Famers or we're just really good players. We all know that this game is not forever. Actually, what they always say about the NFL is not for long. So knowing that, we just got to understand that we're trying to. He might be trying to sneak out a couple of extra year or two. I don't know, but you can just see it, and yeah, it's time. It's time. I would want to see Brissett to go back out there and take over the team again and try to get them in a better position to win, because I feel like he's actually going to be their future, in my personal opinion. He's just that type of quarterback, especially coming with the pedigree that he has, especially coming from Ohio State. It looks bright for him. He might have had a couple hiccups, but it looks bright for him as of right now.
Yeah, but I think overall, I'm a fan of Jacoby Brissett as well because he's obviously a former Patriot guy. He won a couple football games with us with Tom Brady's suspension in 2015 here. And he was a fan favorite. They had the Wolf Pack with Jimmy Garoppolo, Brady, and Brissett, and it was an all-time quarterback room. I'm a big fan of him. I'm not really sold the Colts like him enough to make him their franchise quarterback. That's the one concern I have. Like, we might like him enough, but do they like him enough? I'm not really sold that they do. So we'll have to wait and see if they draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft here. On the other side of the football here, the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was not impressive at all either. 21 of 37 for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. We've been saying it for weeks, folks. Baker Mayfield sucks at football. He's not good at football. I'm sorry. With the best supporting cast in the NFL, borderline, around there, right? Top 5 supporting cast in the NFL for any quarterback to have. He's having an average to below average, even bad season. That's unacceptable when you're the number 1 overall pick. I'm sorry. When you're the Heisman winner the year before and you come into the perfect situation and you can't do jack diddly squat, that's not a good look for anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what your pedigree is. Baker Mayfield is letting everyone down in the city of Cleveland, anyone down that's a football fan in the state of Ohio.
Well, if it would make sense to me if I was to notice that I'm the quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. And I have not one, but I have 2 receivers that are out here throwing the ball and making touchdowns. That would scare me. That would tell me I need to get on my game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like having my daughter come up here and do podcasting for me instead of me being on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Like, he needs to get on this game. But, let's talk about Jarvis Landry and how amazing his hands are. And honestly, not even just him, because Odell made an amazing catch as well over the middle after the dude tried to take his head off. Did you see that play?
I saw it.
Ridiculous. I'm surprised that it wasn't even a flag because he didn't go for anything else but his head. But Jarvis Landry was making made some amazing catches as well as Odell Beckham. They're having it was a great turnout for him. 4 receptions, 88 yards off of 9 targets for Jarvis Landry, and 5 receptions for 58 yards and 9 targets for Odell. Like, those are really good numbers. If they had a quarterback that was able to get them the ball on a consistent basis, these numbers would be astronomically high. I truly believe that these two guys are pure hard workers. They might do a lot of antics on the side, and I'm maybe speaking more so to Odell than Jarvis, but they are definitely hard workers, and they are a master at their crafts.
I would tend to agree with you as well, but I have a question for you, Chris. This can be a hard one, but I think for me it's an easy question as of right now. You have Jarvis Landry, LSU product, who played in Miami, comes to Cleveland, and really balls out for Baker Mayfield specifically. You have Odell, who's shown in New York. He's a generational talent when it comes to just athleticism in general, catch radius, the whole 9 yards, and comes to Cleveland and kind of struggles a little bit more than Jarvis Landry. So when it comes down to it, who is more valuable to the Cleveland Browns, Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham Jr.?
Well, obviously it's Jarvis Landry because he plays in the slot more so than the outside, and he, like I said, he has amazing hands that's going to be able to take those hits and still hang on to the ball. But if you have a perennial player like Odell Beckham, you have to figure out a way to keep that and to keep that team going, because you got Kareem Hunt and Chubbs that are also backing you up. Like, you have Austin Hooper, Njoku, like, you have everything in your hands, Baker Mayfield, and you're not taking advantage of it. You need to, because if you don't, there's going to be somebody, either that team's going to get broken up, or there's going to be somebody else who's going to come in and take that place and thrive off the weapons they have around.
Chris, I'm pretty sure I could throw 30 touchdowns to that team. I'm pretty sure I could do that. And I went 0-16 in Pop Warner in football. Like, are you kidding me?
You know
this
what?
is ridiculous.
You look like you have that body that was that Baker Mayfield had on a commercial, on that Hulu commercial.
I got dad bod strength, Chris. Watch it. Don't mess with me right now. Don't mess with me right now. I'll come out to Colorado and kick your ass. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Anyway,
I'm a good guy.
All right, Sunday Night Football, a wild game. And honestly, if you're a football fan in general, you enjoyed watching this football game. Absolutely. Seahawks take the W here, 27-26. Absolutely. They improved to 5-0, undefeated on the season, and Russell Wilson showed yet again that he is that dude, and he is my MVP already. 20 of 32, 217 yards and 3 touchdowns. But what the stats don't show is I believe, 98-yard drive to win the game with just 2 minutes left in the game. That's what the stats don't show. He's proven to me, at least, he is the new comeback kid in the NFL. He leads the NFL with 30 game-winning drives in the past, I think, 3 years, something like that. It's a ridiculous amount of games in a short amount of time. Russell Wilson is just proving again and again that he is a cerebral player that understands the game on a whole different level than anyone else does. He has the arm strength, the mobility, the ability to affect the game on both levels, to throw the ball downfield, intermediate, underneath, wherever you need to get the ball out.
Absolutely.
And he does it in an efficient way. He, as of right now, and no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes, is the best player in the NFL. For me, as of right now, is the best player in the National Football League as of right now. I have no problem saying that. But receiving here, my guy, and our guy really, DK Metcalf, 6 receptions, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna put this on a t-shirt too, Chris, because he's bigger than you, he's faster than you, and he's stronger than you if you're a defensive back. All 3. Doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are. He's bigger, he's faster, and he's stronger. And he shows it every single Sunday. He makes unbelievable catches both in and outside the red zone. He beats you deep. He beats you short. He beats you over the top, beats you underneath. Doesn't matter what coverage you run. He is going to affect the game at some level throughout the game.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you clarified talking about DBs, because I thought you was talking about me for a second.
No.
Nobody outlifting me right now. I'm doing my thing in the weight room. Just letting you know.
I want to say that.
But absolutely, you're talking about a guy who is out here putting up veteran numbers each week. Only, you know what I'm saying? When rookies or second-year players come out, it's 100 yards here, 100 yards there. You know, they never really put a couple 100-yard games together. Even though he was a couple yards short, it's basically still 100 yards with 93 yards total. The guy is a monster. He is a beast. I have all the respect for this guy, and I'm ready for our choir practice right now. If you're ready, Joe.
He's bigger. He's bigger. He's stronger, and he's faster.
Exactly.
There we go.
I
thought we were going to go.
I know it, and the 12s know it. So we have to give off the great chant as well. So when I say C, I need you to say Hawks. You got
Hit me, Chris. Hit me, Chris.
All right. C.
Hawks.
C.
Hawks.
C.
Hawks. Go 12, baby. Go 12. Let's go. Let's go.
We're talking about a franchise season. I mean, a franchise history record right now. 5-0.
Definitely.
Come on, man. We're having a great job, man. We're doing a great job out there. You got KJ Wright out there making one-handed catches. Although, I feel like the defense needs to tighten up just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And I know that they have a great player out there with Griffin out there on the at the corner position. But we just need to tighten up a little bit more, and so we can stop doing this, this back and forth. This let's come back at the end. You know what I'm saying? I really want to see them go out and kick somebody in the head, let them fall down, and put your foot on their neck, man, and just hang on to it, because them are the games that's really going to matter once it comes down towards the end and when the playoffs starts to hit.
Definitely. I think they'll shore up the defense as soon as Jamal Adams gets healthy. I think as soon as Jamal Adams gets back and he gets, introduced to the defense back and finds his role essentially. Because he was injured really before he found his niche in this defense. So as soon as he comes back, gets a feel for it, they will be fine defensively. I'm not really worried about that right now. But Chris, we were going to the choir. I thought you were going to sing with me, Chris. We were going back and forth. I'm not a choir boy. We're going to go back and forth on a little bit here.
I'm trying to help you out, man. I'm trying to get your vocal skills up. I know mine's are good.
Anyway, on the other side of the football here, Kirk Cousins had a Kirk Cousins day, 27-39, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And again, a Kirk Cousins day, by definition, means good, but not good enough to win the football game. That's how it's always been for his career, and how it always will be. Spencer, I know you're watching the show right now. You have to agree with me now. You have to, because he cannot win a football game to save his life. He has no clutch factor. He has no clutch gene. He's the guy at the beginning of quarantine that says, I want no fans in the stadium because it will be a different environment, because you can't handle the pressure, dude. You can't handle it. I don't care what you say. I don't care what your teammates say. You can't handle the pressure. You have zero clutch factor, zero clutch gene, and I'm never paying you $30 million the way the Vikings did. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. God, he so worked up about Kirk Cousins. Anyway, Monday Night Football was a great game to watch as well. The Saints come out victorious against the Chargers, 30-27. Justin Herbert is the best 0-4 quarterback in football. Like, he is balling out every single game. He finished 20 of 34 for 264 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, and no interceptions. That's as close to a perfect game as you can get as far as a rookie quarterback is concerned without his starting running back. I mean, what else can you want from a quarterback as a rookie coming in spontaneously for their starter against one of the best teams in the NFL? Like, what else can you say about it? Drew Brees, at the end of the day, won the football game because of a mistake by the Chargers kicker missing that extra point that would have put them ahead. But regardless, circumstances are circumstances. Excuses are excuses. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because what does the box score say at the end of the game? It says the Saints got the W and the Chargers did not. What are your impressions from this game on both sides of the football?
For one, I just want to say Justin Herbert is going to be a perennial player in the near future for the Chargers. Mm-hmm. This guy is out here hanging with the best of them. We're talking about Cameron Jordan, who's out there causing the wreck. Henderson out there, he's back on the field. He's causing the wreck with his dynamic play. You know what I'm saying? That D-line, that New Orleans D-line is very nasty when everybody is back healthy. But let's talk about Drew Brees for a second. I just feel like with Drew Brees, man, he is a great player. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. It just looks like this is another case of it's time to hang it up.
It's OMS. You can say it, Chris. It's OMS. It's old man syndrome. That's how it works.
OMS for sure. Him and Phillip Rivers are the two that are in there, and they're the front runners to getting out of the game. It's a lot of dink and dong plays, you know what I'm saying? And it looks like it's just harder for him to get down the field with the ball, as you can see where he threw the ball over his receiver's head and threw a pick and ran straight into the DB's hands. And it just wasn't looking right for me. Although, you know, my boy Emmanuel Sanders had an amazing day, 12 catches for 122 yards off of 14 targets. Although he got robbed of a touchdown, it was still a great day for him.
Definitely. And a funny stat here for Drew Brees, as you mentioned, getting the ball downfield is an issue for him. Since 2017, that's 3 years, Drew Brees has only completed one pass that's traveled more than 35 yards in the air. One pass. A singular pass.
That's crazy.
That's crazy to me. That is psychotic to me. But
I don't even understand how you can still – I mean, I get it. I know the dynamic between him and Sean Payton and the love that the organization has for him. But, my gosh, I mean, you look at Colin Kaepernick, a guy who was out there, he was actually not that bad. He was a lot better than what Drew Brees is doing right now, and they got him out of there. So it's a lot. It says a lot, but yeah, I think it's just more so. It's just his time to go.
Definitely. I think it will look a lot better for Brees once Michael Thomas comes back into the fold. He was actually, if you guys didn't know, a little backstory here. Michael Thomas was actually healthy and ready to play, but then decided to punch his teammate in the jaw. So he got suspended by the team. A bonehead move by one of the perennial all-stars in this league, in Michael Thomas here. We'll see him next week, hopefully. I guess there's still some tension between Sean Payton and him when it comes to the actual team, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out on that end. But
which is crazy though. Which is crazy though, because this is coming from the same team who was putting bounties out on players.
Literally.
I don't understand how just having a fight. You know, it's probably just a heated, something that was a heated argument on the football field. You know, just guys sharpening iron, and you know, we take it that far. But I don't know. We don't know the full story, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I think one of the corners called him like a slant god or something, like as a joke, when he was like fucking with him, and then Michael Thomas just punched him in the jaw, like, dude, like just don't be stupid.
Now that just makes me more mad at Michael Thomas.
Me too.
You got your money. I would have been like, yeah, you're right.
You're goddamn right. I am. I'm the best in the league at doing that too.
Let me go to the bank real quick.
Yeah, literally. What are you making, practice squatter? Like that's all I would say. But like that's just me. But definitely an interesting situation going on in New Orleans with Michael Thomas here. Do you think we see Jameis Winston at all this year?
Actually, I do. I do see Jameis Winston going out and playing a little bit. I think it's really just to give Drew Brees a little bit of a break. You know, especially with how good they're doing right now. They'll probably be able to make it to the playoffs and give him a little bit more rest, especially with him and Hill in the background with the Wildcat option that he does back there. But yeah, Jameis Winston could definitely be a possible option to be playing us. So. And
people forget last season, Drew Brees actually looked very sharp, towards the end near the postseason. There's a reason why, guys. He missed 5 games. He missed 5 games. Teddy Bridgewater came in and actually supplanted him for a few games there in the middle of the season. That helps old quarterbacks more than anyone realizes. In 2015, when Tom Brady was suspended, those 4 games actually helped him more than it hurt him because he didn't get hurt as much. He didn't get banged up as much. He actually caught his stride as he was going into the playoffs. He had no room for cold stretches. It helps these older guys to get a break. Exactly. Well, stop it. You know what, Chris? I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put 6 up. That's all I'm going to put up for you. Anyway, that's Stafford and Matthews coverage of Week 5. A definitely interesting week in the NFL. And the standings are kind of starting to take place here. Buffalo is leading the AFC East at 4-0, with the Patriots tailing 2-2. But obviously, I think a W is coming for them against Denver on this Sunday. So maybe an interesting dynamic there for the playoff race for the AFC East here. The AFC North is crazy right now. Pittsburgh leads them with 4-0, but 2 4-1 teams behind them with the Ravens and the Browns, and the Bengals lagging behind here at 1-3-1. But a crazy playoff race to watch. Potentially 3 AFC North teams can make the playoffs this upcoming year, so keep an eye out for that moving forward as well. The AFC South, the Tennessee Titans lead the way at 3-0. But again, they're down a couple of games because of COVID restrictions. They have to play an extra couple of games here. They're playing a game tonight as we're recording on Tuesday. So who knows? Maybe they take a loss here, and then Indianapolis maybe jumps them a little bit. So I guess we have to wait and find out here. The Colts are second in place, 3-2. The Texans are 1-4, and the Jaguars are 1-4. I don't really see any possibility of playoffs there for them, unfortunately. But we'll see them back next year, I'm sure, at least with the Texans on that front. The AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs lead the way at 4-1. The Raiders are 3-2. The Broncos are 1-3, and the Chargers are 1-4. But again, a sneaky 1-4 as Justin Herbert's playing phenomenal football for this LA roster. The NFC East. Oh my God, the NFC East. The Cowboys lead the way with 2-3. The Eagles are second and 1-3-1. The Washington football team are behind them at 1-4, and the Giants are 0-5. Just a despicable look. Just a despicable look for anyone NFC East fan. Just do better, guys. That's my advice. Do better. NFC North here, the Green Bay Packers lead the way at 4-0. The Bears at 4-1 are second in place because the Packers have a better divisional record. The Lions are 1-3, and the Vikings are 1-4. Keep an eye on them at the trade deadline to blow it up. Watch Adam Thielen might get traded. You don't really know. Defensive pieces might get shipped off here because this team is looking piss poor when it comes to this town in the NFC North here. The NFC South here. The New Orleans Saints are 3-2. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-2 as well, but they also have a worse division record, giving them the second place title here. The Carolina Panthers are 3-2 as well, with a 1-1 record in the division as well, but a loss to the Buccaneers keep them in third place. And the Falcons are 0-5. They're going to have a top 3 pick in this NFL draft. It'll be interesting to see who they end up selecting in this draft here. The NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks, 5-0, franchise record 5-0, leading the way in the NFC West, with the Rams in second with 4-1. The Cardinals in third, 3-2, and your San Francisco 49ers in fourth at 2-3 with an 0-1 division record. This season has been interesting so far. I give it some time. I'm with you. I think they'll catch their second win here. I believe in you. I believe in the Niners as well. So far this season has been an interesting ride, obviously, with COVID affecting it at such a high level, bye games being played early in the year, games being pushed off multiple weeks, even the Titans having almost a forfeit a couple games now. What are your impressions so far of how the NFL's handled the process? And where do you see it going from here? Do you think there's going to be additional, fines or penalties for teams that fail to comply like the Titans did? Do you see more games being pushed off? Do you see Week 18 being a possibility? What are your thoughts on the NFL season when it comes to COVID down the stretch here?
Honestly, I don't. Well, first off, let me just say this: I don't believe that they're doing a good job with keeping this COVID thing under wraps. When you're looking at the NHL, the MLB, and also the NBA that just finished with my Lakers winning the whole thing, but it's just too much. It's just too much uncertainty, and then you wonder why a lot of key players were opting out of in the beginning of the season not to play, because I'm pretty sure that they seen this coming, and a lot of people who decided to play also seen this coming. So. It's just a weird time, and then I also believe that the season might not even finish the way we think it's going to happen. I think they're going to cut it short after a while because we keep on getting these repetitive cases, especially from from specific teams, and once they start hitting actual major players, I'm talking about like the Aaron Donalds in companies. You're gonna have a real problem in the NFL, and people are gonna start dropping off like flies. Whether they get COVID or not, they're just gonna see that they're gonna deem it to be too dangerous for them to continue to play, and potentially infecting themselves and their family members once they go home.
I agree with the latter part of what you said. I disagree with the other stuff. I think the NFL season happens regardless because they are money hungry. They don't care about the health of their players, their fans. It's going to happen with replacement players, with practice squad players, however they're gonna have to do it. It's going to happen because the NFL is all about money. That's what drives them, not the love of the game. They go for money. They'll find a way to work around COVID. They'll find a way to adapt the rules to fit with their narrative and fit what they want to do.
Wait. Who does the fans come and see? Do they come and see the team, or do they come and see their favorite player?
Favorite player, favorite team. I agree with you, but who controls their favorite team or favorite player?
If that's the thing, if your favorite player is not playing, and then there's there are other players that are your favorite players, and they're opting out to not to play, well, how do you think it's going to play out? I mean, we've seen it before with lockouts and things like that, and people we're talking about practice squad players and people just coming off the streets to play the game. And they're not getting anything close to the revenue that they were assuming that they were going to get, even if the season was still to go on. So
right. So
I don't see it happening.
I think the NFL has already conceded to themselves and their board of owners that they're going to take a revenue hit regardless this season, because there's no revenue coming in from tickets, from concessions, from food, from anything in the stadiums.
How much though?
Right. That ends up being the question. But they stand to lose more money by canceling the season than by having a shittier version of the season with different players. Is that true or not?
Yeah, but then I don't want to keep on trying to get even more negative with the situation, because there are cases of people dying from COVID. So
I agree with you.
What happens then when that starts happening? You're gonna have people that's gonna just say, "No, fuck that, I'm out." Like that's
no,
a real
I
thing.
agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, definitely.
These are young guys out here, so they have the time of their lives. They're making money. You know what I'm saying? And however much money they have, I'm more than sure they're going to be like, no, I'm cool. I don't need to.
I'm with you. I agree with you on that front. I just think the NFL will try to find a way around that when it comes to that. Devin McCourty, Jason McCourty, one of our favorite duos in New England, have already considered. They're living in a hotel right now. They're this close to opting out of the season, just being like, you know what? Like, sorry, take my contract. I don't want to play this season. Absolutely. And it makes sense. They're at risk. They have sickle cell. There's a risk there, so they don't want to play that.
Absolutely.
Chris, let me ask you a question here. If you were still in the Seahawks or the Ravens or whatever team, right? You say you got picked up. Would you have opted out of the season? I
honestly think I would have, because I have a 2-year-old daughter who, who's constantly all up on me. It's just crazy how much she wants to be all up under her daddy. But I think I would have opted out. There's just no amount of money that can replace my life or my health, and it shows right now, to be honest with you, with the NFL's track record with taking care of their players once they're done playing, and their health and their insurance and stuff like that. Like, if you're not a Hall of Famer or an elite player, you're going to have a problem with your health with your health down the line. So I just wouldn't see myself taking that chance.
Fair enough, and I respect that 100%. That wraps up Week 5 in the NFL for Stafford and Matthews here, the 25% mark of the season. We're a quarter of the way through already. Let's get into Week 6, Chris. The Broncos and Patriots lead off at 1 o'clock. Not much to talk about on my end. I'm taking my Patriots 100%. Cam Newton comes back with a vengeance and might drop over 30 points on this Broncos defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going with New England, even though it hurts me to say this all the time. But I'm going with New England because they're going to be too overpowered, especially if Cam comes back. They're going to start hitting on cylinders that they were hitting on before, and hopefully it goes full circle with everybody staying healthy and being able to play.
I'm gonna make a montage of you talking about the New England Patriots, like positively wise. Just send it to you at the end of this. I cannot wait to do that. But anyway, here, next game on the docket, the Falcons and the Vikings, the battle of the choke artists here. And I really don't know who to go with. They're 1-4. One team's 1-4. One team's 0-5. Both teams look dismantled. Both teams look discouraged. I'm going to have to go with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings here. And the only reason I say that –
on him.
I know, but it's an impossible choice. I go with the Vikings here because of Dalvin Cook and because they actually gave the Seahawks, who are an elite football team, a run for their money in primetime football. I'm going with the Vikings here.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings as well. It just doesn't look right for the Falcons right now. I don't think that they're still grasping the new offense that's probably going to be implemented, or the new defense that's probably going to be implemented. They're just going to be trying to figure things out. And there's also been talks that they're already trying to just tank the whole season. So we got to see how that looks as well. So I'm definitely going with Minnesota.
For sure. Next up here, the Texans and the Titans. Keep in mind, the Titans haven't played in 2 weeks. They're actually been fined a hefty amount as well for off-field practices that were not conditioned by the team because of COVID concerns. They've had 25 total cases on that team, on that roster. Almost half the roster is infected with COVID here. I'm going with the Houston Texans here because, first of all, the 2-week hiatus is not easy for any football team. I don't care who you are. I don't care what coach you have. It's a tough thing to come back from. The Houston Texans are hot off their first win of the NFL season. Deshaun Watson's feeling confident for the first time all year without Bill O'Brien weighing him down, weighing his offense down. I'm going with the Houston Texans here.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with the Houston Texans as well. Maybe we can get a couple touchdowns out of my boy Cobb this week, especially because this 2-week break that Tennessee has had. So hopefully we can get Houston another win out there.
Most definitely here. The Browns and the Steelers are next up. A great game and a very pivotal game when it comes to standings in the AFC North. Pittsburgh's 4-0 and the Browns are 4-1. And this is a tough choice for me as well. But I'm going to go with the better quarterback, and I'm going with Ben Roethlisberger. It's going to end up being a duel because the Browns' defense is not all the way there. The Steelers' defense is very, very well-rounded, but a lot of weapons for the Browns will make it hard to cover, even with Nick Chubb being out of the game here. I'm still going with Pittsburgh here because I think when it comes down to a duel, Ben Roethlisberger will outplay Baker Mayfield 10 out of 10 times.
So I thought we were supposed to be doing the opposite thing. Like you were supposed to pick one team, I was supposed to pick the other team. Like we're picking too many.
I'm picking first. You're copying me. I'm picking first. You're copying me.
So, yeah, I'm going with Pittsburgh as well, man. I think they're just going to have that defense. The defense is probably going to just hold the team at bay. Where I think is going to break out at for the Pittsburgh is just being consistent on the offensive side, like you said, with Ben Roethlisberger just basically outplaying Baker Mayfield, and especially with his new weapon, Claypool, out there. Hopefully we can see a lot more great things for him.
Most definitely here. And the synchronage of our schedule is not going to end here because the Ravens and Eagles are next on the docket here. I'm thinking Lamar Jackson is going to run all over this Eagles defense here. Granted, the Eagles have actually given the Steelers a game last week, but the Ravens defense is playing phenomenal football right now. They have an elite defensive line for the first time in 3+ years. They have a great linebacking core led by the rookie Patrick Queen, who's played phenomenally last week, and a secondary headed by recently paid Marlon Humphrey. This is a dangerous team. I'm going with the Ravens here. The Eagles have not shown me anything to make me comfortable picking them in this game, and Carson Wentz has regressed to unimaginable levels. I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah, I can see the score being somewhat similar to the Baltimore-Cincy game this past week. It's just the defense is just too good.
Yeah.
The Ravens defense is too good, and Lamar Jackson is great at managing these subpar games and being able to run and be able to pass as well, with getting a couple touchdowns out of there with Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews.
Definitely. Now this is where I might disagree here. The Washington football team and the New York Giants, again, a really shitty football game to watch. I hope you don't have it in your area right now, but a tough game to pick for either of us here. And I really want to go with my guy, Daniel Jones, but I don't think I'll be able to do it. I don't think I'll be able to follow through and do it here just because Saquon Barkley is not there to help him cushion this W. I'm going with the Washington football team. I think Kyle Allen's comfortable with Ron Rivera calling plays. I think they're a comfortable football team with him at the helm. Also, before we move on here, shout out to Alex Smith, who played his first snap in 650 days, 680 days, whatever the hell it was, after a gruesome Joe Theismann-esque injury. Comes back, plays a series for the Washington football team. So shout out to Alex Smith. We're so proud of you. We're happy for you and your family, and we can't wait to see if you actually play down the line as well. So shout out to Alex Smith. And on that note, I'm going with the Washington football team.
Yeah, well, I guess you're right. I'm going with the Giants. I think
finally.
I think they'll be able to do it with Darius Slayton. He's showing that he can hang on with hang on to the pass, especially with those little tough catches that he was making in the intermediate of the field. It's just going to be a shootout. So I'm just picking. I'm honestly just tossing a coin, and it just landed on the New York Giants. So that's what I'm going with.
It is a toss-up game by definition. This is not an easy game to pick for any analyst here. Next game on the schedule here is the Lions and the Jaguars, another game that's really up in the air. I'm going with Uncle Matt and the Detroit Lions here. I think they're due for a victory, and I think Gardner Minshew's team is kind of staggering now after, I think, 3 straight losses. It's not easy for a team to come back from that, especially a team that's been gutted by their organization. I'm going with the Lions and Uncle Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with the Lions as well. There's not much to say about this game. The Jacksonville is just not looking the part right now. Gardner Minshew he's looking like a roller coaster right now. He's up and he's down, and even when he's up, he's still losing games. So I'm going with Detroit.
The next game on the schedule here, the Bengals and the Colts. And now this is an interesting game for a lot of people because the Colts have an opportunity here to control the time possession with Jonathan Taylor and to run that play action stuff against this horrible Cincy defense with Phillip Rivers, the one thing he's actually still good at. But I'm going to go with Cincinnati here. I think Joe Burrow outduels Phillip Rivers. I think Joe Mixon outduels Jonathan Taylor. I think overall, Cincy provides a better game plan than Indianapolis does.
Yeah, I think that I also think that Joe Burrows will actually outplay Rivers, but I think that it would be more so the Indy's defense is going to take care of majority of the game. So I'm going with Indy.
The Bears and the Panthers here, the last 1 o'clock game on the schedule. And I'm doing this out of pure spite now because I've called the Bears frauds for the past 3 or 4 weeks now, and I have to stick to my word. I'm a man of my word, Chris. I can't go against my word. I'm going with the Panthers here. I'm going for Teddy Bridgewater to maintain this game enough to where Nick Foles makes enough mistakes for this Carolina defense to just run out the clock and just win by a very, very small, slight margin. So I'm going with the Carolina Panthers here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers as well, but it's a hard decision because at the same time that with the Bears, it's a hit or miss with them, especially with Nick Foles out there. But when they're hitting, they are on a roll. So it could be it could be a hard one. So it sounds like to me that Carolina's defense is going to have to step up a little bit more this week and take control of this game because we all know that the offense is not going to sit up there and score 30, 40 points for them off the bat. So.
For sure.
But I'm still going for Carolina.
Definitely. The 4:05 game on the schedule here is the Jets and the Dolphins. I'm going with the Dolphins here. Ryan Fitzpatrick is proving to me he's playing very, very good football here. He's keeping Tua Tagovailoa on the bench, at least for now. Sam Darnold might be back, might not be back. Joe Flacco, I still don't think is up to the task of beating this Dolphins team that's very, very hot right now. I'm going with Miami.
Yeah, I'm going with Miami as well. There's not much to say about this game. It's going to be a sleeper.
Definitely. And now we get into a slate of games. Earlier in the schedule here, we had a lot of kind of shitty games, up and down games, toss-up games, if you will, against a lot of, very subpar football teams. And now we're getting to 4 straight games that are actually exciting games to watch. We have the Packers and the Buccaneers. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady is always must-watch TV, no matter how much the odds are stacked against Tom Brady here. I'm going with Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers continues his MVP campaign and slays the GOAT in primetime television.
MVP campaign. I thought you were just saying that Russell Wilson was a runaway with this.
He is a runaway, but it's an MVP campaign. Campaign doesn't mean he's going to win the game. Joe Biden and Trump are both winning campaigns.
I believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to have the MVP at the end of the year just because his defense is going to be able to pick up a little bit more towards the end. But we'll see. But, yeah, I'm going with Green Bay as well. This is going to be a great game. I'm kind of iffy on going against Tom Brady, to be honest with you, because I've seen it plenty of times. He's then came back off of much worse, So that's kind of a hard one, but I'm going to go with Green Bay. I have confidence in my boy Darius Smith.
Maybe we'll just trade off here because I doubted Tom Brady. I said he had OMS just a couple weeks ago. Then the next week he throws for 5 touchdown passes. Then I say he's back. Then he throws for a touchdown and a pick and loses the game. then maybe he comes back this week. Maybe it's like an off and on thing, an alternating week. Like I'm not really sure. But I'm still going with Green Bay as well. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. The Rams and the 49ers. If Jimmy Garoppolo's all the way back, it's a phenomenal football game. Do I think he's all the way back? Maybe. It's a toss-up. I'm going with the Rams here. I think the defense stifles the 49ers' very, very young receiving core. Deebo Samuel's still getting back to healthy and back into the swing of things offensively. Brandon Ayuk is still a very young prospect and not a certified pro by any standard, by any sense of the word here. I'm going with the Rams just based off experience and based off of the fact that the 49ers are still getting things figured out down the line.
Yeah, I hear you. The Rams defense is playing a very dominant defense right now. Teams are just not able to hang in with them when they're on the field, and also with them on offense. They're actually doing a really good job out there with Henderson out there running the ball good. You have Woody out there just catching deep balls down the field now. You have Cooper Kupp, who's making sure that the middle of the field is taken care of. But with all that said, I'm still going with San Fran. We're going to figure out a way to trick you with emotions, and you still got to understand, I don't care who you are out there on defense, nobody is stopping Kittles right now. So we you know what I'm saying, we had a down week last week, but I'm pretty sure Kittles is out there letting us get a dose of that poontang pie that he was talking about a couple weeks ago and come out with an amazing game. I think we're going to pull it out, San Fran. So
I respect the loyalty, Chris. I really do. Monday Night
Absolutely.
Football here. There's 2 games of Monday night because of scheduling issues here. The 5 o'clock game is the best game out of the bunch. The Chiefs in the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs off a heartbreaking loss to the Las Vegas Raiders of all teams, and the Buffalo Bills still undefeated here. A toss-up game to be sure. Josh Allen's playing MVP-type football here. But I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Pat Mahomes bounces back after a really an embarrassing loss against a team that's well below their station. And I think he knows that as well. I have to go with the Chiefs here. I cannot, in good conscience, take the Bills when Patrick Mahomes is a pissed-off individual.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going with Kansas City as well. Buffalo might end up with their first loss this week. They have a great defense, but you got to think about it. Kansas City, they're more known for getting beat on the outside than on the inside with Matthew in the slot, guarding players in the slot, which is where Stephon Diggs is usually placed at. So I'm going with KC.
Fair enough. The Cardinals and the Cowboys to finish off the week here. 3-2 versus 2-3. The Cowboys lose their starting quarterback. It doesn't really make sense for me to take the Cowboys here. I'm going with Kyler Murray in the Arizona Cardinals.
Absolutely. I'm going with Arizona as well. You got to think Cowboys defense is still bad. whether Dak Prescott is there or not. It's still a bad team, and Arizona is hitting on all cylinders right now with their offense, and also Cowboys think they had it bad with Dak Prescott. They're really going to understand now with the red rifle backing them up right now.
Most definitely. And that wraps up Stafford and Matthews' normal episode for week 6, episode 5, or episode 6 technically, right? Episode 6 technically. Yeah. Sponsored by Boston's Big 3 shop here. We can show this off a little bit, previewing a line I'm putting out. Joe Cool, Joe Burrow coming out right now. But I actually have a line on the way dropping on Sunday, a personal slang and nicknames line in this exact style for all 32 teams coming out. So check that out on Sunday, bostonsbig3.com/shop. And obviously Chris Matthews' personal line is still out there on a headline on our website here. The first page you bring up, you can't miss it. So check that out as well. Chris, any final thoughts?
Man, continue praying for continue praying for Dak Prescott and his family. And I also just want to say, man, everybody be safe during these troubling times for COVID. So.
Definitely. My final thought, I'll go with your original thought here. Pray for Baker Mayfield to be a better quarterback. That is Stafford and Matthews episode.
It almost came out.
It almost came out. That wraps up Stafford and Matthews episode 6. We will catch you on the flippity flip. Catch our interview with Tyler Lockett on episode 5.5, the episode right before this, so don't miss on that. Peace, guys.